Welcome to episode 35 of the Upper One podcast. It's a new year and a whole lot of new going on. But first, let's catch up as to what happened at the end of the year. Stay tuned.
And now podcasting from the great state of Alaska, this is the Upper One Podcast.
Welcome back. This is episode 35 of the Upper One podcast. Happy New Year 2023. Something else that's new is if you follow the Facebook page, I've had to migrate the podcast from one hosting platform to another. Sounder is no longer going to be hosting platform, so they're going to just continue doing analytics. And so now we are on Acast. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. The last pod was August, I believe the 13th, somewhere right in there. I was waiting for a couple of the tribute band concerts to finish up for the summer, which they did. The first one was Hysteria, a Def Leppard tribute. The second one was Dr. Crew, which is a Motley Crue tribute. 3 of those members play in both those bands, so it was kind of cool. Live music, seeing, hearing stuff you grew up listening to. One of the guitar players gave me a pick at the Hysteria concert, remembered me, gave me another pick. They're specific to those bands. So the one has, Def Leppard, the stuff with the t-shirts that some of the band members have worn. It has those logos and stuff on them. And same with the Dr. Crew, Motley Crue guitar pick. So I'm collecting picks. Something else that was announced was the Village People, and I was fortunate to go see that, kind of in a nostalgic way. You kind of hear the sports anthems at the arenas and dance songs and stuff like that. So yes, YMCA, they killed it. In the Navy, they played that, and Macho Man, as well as a lot of their other ones, which were really good. That band has been around since 1966 or somewhere in the mid 60s. And the lead singer, who is the cop, he wears the cop costume. He is the original band member other than his drummer. And he'll tell you the story is, when people ask him, well, who are the Village People? Who are the originals? And he says, well, I am. And, he kind of told that story while he was on stage. But other than that, it was pretty cool concert. The Matanuska Brewing Company is where all those concerts were at. They have announced 2 of their summer concerts, which I think is Loverboy and Smash Mouth, but there's one that I'm waiting for. When I talked to the owner, he said, yeah, he called this guy. We don't have a date yet, but he pretty much said he was confirmed. And I'm imagining it's going to be during hunting season, probably the end of August or into September, because it's Uncle Ted Nugent. So I'm definitely going to be at that one. So looking back on 2022, like I said, we were busy. It's been 2 years since we dumped the boat in the water. We had the wedding. Trevor and Tori got married. From the decorating to the DJing to all that stuff. Kind of was busy. I started my new job a year ago, November. So I'm no longer, at this point in time, hauling concrete. I am working for an electrical distribution company, electrical and comm data. And I'm loving it. I got my weekends off. I got paid holidays and vacation days and sick time. So I'm really enjoying that. I am still driving. other than that, there wasn't a whole lot going on. We had a part-timer work for us. He is a juniors hockey player. It's kind of like a jump between high school and college. He came and worked with us part-time. His dad's our shipper, so I'm following him. He plays for the Hudson Havoc in the USPHL. My hockey season's going pretty good. I think we're in fourth place. I mean, I'm having fun. I mean, it's going pretty good because I'm having fun. We're in fourth place. We got 4 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. Our last game, I got hurt. A guy stuck his knee out and eventually kicked his leg, extended his leg out, and it tripped me, and I landed. I went straight down onto the left side of my rib cage, which turns out to be a torn or separated or whatever their medical term is, they call it, the cartilage there in my rib cage. So it's popped on me like 3 times. Or if you imagine spreading a rubber band out across your leg and pulling it back and popping it on your leg. That's what it feels like, except a hell of a lot worse. So unfortunately, I'm probably going to take the next few weeks off from playing hockey, even though we're going back to our, after our winter break. Our next game is Sunday the 8th. I'm definitely going to miss that game. Maybe the following game after that, and then the one after that, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Because at my age, I'm not healing as fast as I would have had I been in high school or in my 20s, maybe even into my 30s, but I need to nurse this back and make sure I can come back strong and be ready for the playoffs when we get to them. But yeah, it was bad, bad, bad. I mean, I couldn't even roll over. I couldn't even get myself out of bed by myself, and amongst other things that at this point with all the pain I would need help with. So I'm just taking it easy with that, and hopefully, like I said, I can get back to skating here in a few weeks. I guess, one of the other things the wife and I have done is we've gotten that unlimited subscription at Regal Cinemas. So we've been watching movies. We can watch one movie. We can watch the same movie once per day. I can't go repeat it in the same day, but I can go watch as many movies in that day that I want, as long as I don't repeat one movie. So we just, New Year's Day, we went and watched Avatar 2, and we've already talked about it. There's several different theaters now. There's a standard, there's a 3D, and there's a 3D RPX, and now there's the 4D with basically it's like being on a roller coaster ride. So we've talked about going and watching it then. We did watch it in 3D the other day. If you're ready for a 3-hour movie and sitting for 3 hours, it's good. And the only other advice I'd have to say without spoiling a whole lot of stuff is make sure if you haven't watched it like me, like 50 some times, the first one, watch it at least a day or two before you go to watch the new one. But we've been watching a lot of those. We watched Top Gun. I think we watched Bullet Train, which wasn't near as exciting as I thought it would be, but we do have that unlimited pass, so that's worked out pretty good for us when we do go watch. Surprisingly, we went at like 1 in the afternoon, I think, or something. Yeah, I think it was 1 in the afternoon. There was hardly anybody in the theaters that early, so I don't know if they were just people didn't get out or what. But other than that, like I said, when hockey, I've only scored 2 goals and 2 assists this year, but I was pretty excited because my first goal was the team's first goal of the season, and I've never had that happen. I've never scored a goal that early before, so that's about all I'm excited for. We do have new jerseys. You remember my episode said why we're making T-Dub orange again. Well, we've changed our jerseys up a little bit. They're kind of doing a NHL throwback. So our colors, with orange being Philadelphia Flyers, we've kind of have jerseys that look like the Philadelphia Flyers, other than the fact that it's not black. It's kind of it's a brown. It's like a burnt, stained brown colored, but the jerseys look sharp, and we don't have any confusion with what's orange or or what anymore. I guess I don't have a whole lot more just to do the catch ups as I'm just getting back to this. We did last year lose Hobo Jim, and I had originally tried to record on his birthday, which was the solstice day this year, 21st of December. He would have been 70. For those of you that have listened, please thank you for listening to that episode. One of the other things I did do, I'll just tell this is I downloaded a bunch of music onto a memory card and sent it to my dad, and some of it was the Hobo Jim music that I had on disc, and my dad absolutely loves it. So I know, everybody howls with Hobo Jim. I'm sure my dad really loves that part. Something I did almost forget. We went to Las Vegas, the wife and I, the 1st of December. We were supposed to fly in on the 30th of November. Unfortunately, we had a 26-hour delay because of Alaska Airlines. We ended up flying into Everett, I believe the old Boeing field up there. We had to stay the night and then get up and fly into Vegas the next day on the 1st. So the bottom line is we didn't get all of our shopping done on the 30th like we had planned, uninterrupted. So what it turned out being was we'd had to do a little bit of shopping, like during the late morning, early afternoon, and then come back to the hotel and get ready, because on the 1st we went to the rodeo, the national finals. And then we did the same thing all over again the next day on the 2nd, except for that was the George Strait concert, which I absolutely loved. I was like a kid in a candy store. There was nothing wrong with the concert. It was just the people in front of me. The one song I was waiting for, which is the one George Strait says it's been his most favorite to record, was Amarillo by Morning. I had the camera out, had it all ready to go, just to video that song. And damned if the lady and her daughter in front of me didn't stand up in front of me. That was my only gripe. But, I kind of voiced my opinion and they scooted over, except they scooted over right in front of my wife. But I was a kid in a candy store, checked that one off the bucket list, and I had a lot of fun. And then we did it the same thing the next night on the 3rd. We went and saw Cody Jinks. And then same with Sunday night, the 4th, we went and saw Ryan Bingham. He's an actor in the TV show Yellowstone. If you haven't watched that, he's really good. If you haven't ever heard him, he's also good. So, but yeah, that was that. I can't wait. We had a lot of fun. Vegas, it wasn't warm like you would expect, but it's wintertime in Vegas. In the desert, it does cool off. It was probably upper 50s, like 58 degrees most of the time we were there. But I tell you what, I did not wear a coat. But I'm ready to go back, so hopefully in the future that'll be another planned trip. With that being said, I'm going to take my first break. I will be back. I don't have a whole lot for an episode. I'll just get to that when I get back. All right, so since this was the first episode after migrating the pod over to Acast, I didn't want to get into too much detail. I just some fun little tidbit facts, kind of, cutesy, artsy fartsy kind of, just little things. I found this on a place called onlyinyourstate.com. It's onlyinyourstate.com /Alaska /things we do that seem insane to everyone else. 23 things Alaskans do that seem insane to everyone else. So the first one, and when I post this, I'll put if you need the link, it'll be on the Facebook page. So the first one, it says, the first paragraph, it says, living the Alaska life certainly is not like anything else that you'll experience in the lower 48. It's so unique that many outsiders find us to just be straight up insane, and some of that I agree with. But we love our weird and kooky lifestyle, so we don't mind if it makes other people scratch their heads in confusion. And I'm sure it's like that everywhere else. Like I just saw something on the New Mexico recipes page on Facebook where people probably don't understand that when you're eating Mexican food or beans and whatever else, you could use your tortilla as a scoop, stuff like that. So let's get started with this. The first one is the award for the most versatile clothing item goes to Extra Toughs. Extra Tough is basically a thicker, basically rain boot. People wear them just pretty much all occasions, anywhere they can, for whatever, doesn't matter. You'd think that you'd see them, and I'm still, you still see them, but you'd think that you'd see them more down on the docks or, oceans and, wherever you got a boat or, I do know that they make designs on the inside material different so you can get patterns and stuff like that. So I've seen people roll them down to their ankles, roll the top half down so you can see that pattern. That's what they're made for. Concrete finishers, I've seen them wear them because they're real easy to spray off. The next one, after a long, cold, dark winter, don't be surprised if you catch us in t-shirts or flip-flops when the weather goes anywhere above 30 degrees. Or even, not even wearing a shirt. And I can attest to that when it gets into March, when you're riding your snow machines and the weather's warmed up, you don't want all them bulky coats and all that on, so you shed them. You get out riding, and once you start warming up, you shed them, and the sun's out. You're riding in t-shirts. Well, your helmet, of course, but yeah. Just don't fall off and get stuck in the snow. When it's summertime, we have absolutely no concept of time when the midnight sun is shining. Even down here in South Central, I believe the sun comes up in the summertime anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30, and it doesn't go down until 11:30. So we're getting 19 or 19 and a half hours of daylight. But up north, especially when you're above the Arctic Circle, in the summertime, it's year-round. Sun does not set. I believe just north of Fairbanks, which is not near the Arctic Circle, it's like 100 and some miles or something from the Arctic Circle, there's one hill where on the solstice day you could see the sun just dip barely. It doesn't even go below the horizon. It just dips down and then it'll come back up. The next one is, even if it's a school night, we'll forgo a little sleep for a good Northern Lights show. And I'll have to agree with that because just watching the Northern Lights, the aurora dancing across the sky, is just a sight that you have to see. And I've seen it through the front windshield of trucks many, many, many times. And, you kind of get lost just watching them. The main color that I've seen is green. I don't think I've seen any of the browns or oranges yet. Down in Juneau, I did see some purples and whites, but mostly here in South Central, it's green. The next one is combat fishing. This is the way we fish. And you get when the salmon are running, people will stand shoulder to shoulder just to toss that line out. And they do it in sequence. One guy will throw one, the next guy will wait till that lure's gone past them so they're not tangling lines, but I can guarantee lines get tangled. especially down on the Russian River. We share our fishing holes with critters that look like this. It's got a picture of a brown bear walking across the shore. There is a time where dip netting is open in certain creeks and rivers. And what that is, you get a dip net permit, and however many people you have in your household, you're allowed to catch fish using a dip net. Down on the mouth of the Kenai is where I've been. It's the same as combat fishing. Basically, you put your waders on and you wade out chest deep into the surf at the mouth of the river. You stick that, you probably got a 10 or 12 foot pole with a 4 or 5 foot diameter ring on it that has that net. It's kind of pretty much just a gill net. You stick that out and you make that stroll. You start up here and you just kind of make that. My buddy Brian calls it the Kenai stroll. You just walk down in the water with that net out in the water and you catch fish. And like I said, you're allotted so many per person per household. The head of household gets more, but then you get so many per person after that. So people fill their freezers. You get 4 or 5 people in your household, you probably getting easily 70 or 80 fish allowed, I think. The next one is only in Alaska will you find someone walking their pet reindeer in the middle of a downtown district, and that's true. Downtown Anchorage, we have a house that has a yard that's fenced in. They own a reindeer. The reindeer's name is Star. It's usually in a lot of the parades and other stuff. But you could walk by downtown on the sidewalk and walk right up to their fence and take a look at this reindeer. They also have it in the city of Nome. They'll throw them up in the bed of their truck and put them around town. Number 9 says, if we don't know you, we'll still strike up a conversation with you. And most of it's about spending the whole time talking about how Alaska is the best place in the world to live. And, that's kind of why I started this podcast. My wife does say that I talk a lot and I talk to people I don't know. 33 years of living up here now. Going on 34. May will be 34. I've struck up a lot of conversations. We will always choose comfort over style, so it doesn't matter what we look like. We're going to bundle up and stay warm in the wintertime. And also it says, number 11 says, but then again, our native Alaskan style is pretty much the best combination of both worlds. It's got a guy in I think a spotted seal coat, like a parka, and fur boots. And speaking of, I talked about fur rondy. There is the fur, that starter for, like in the wintertime when people would come trade their furs. And so people dress up. It's like going to the National Finals Rodeo. You don't see guys in ratty clothes there. You see people dressed up real nice. They're either wearing some sort of sport coat, hats, real nice jeans and boots. The fur rendezvous is the same way. People will dress up not real nice like that, but it's, if they got furs and hats and gloves that are made out of hides or furs, they wear them and they show them off. Number 12 says, plus our furs are guaranteed to make you smile. This gentleman's wearing a fox hat, and the lady next to him is wearing some sort of fur hat too. It's white. And the other caption of that one says, insane, ? Not to us. So, because we do have longer winters here, we brave all the elements. We do this with our beloved four-legged family members. I've seen people walking their dogs all the time. As you know, we do have the Iditarod sled trail race. And, they raise their dogs out here and they run them on the sleds, training them up until that Iditarod. And, but people, they do make boots for the feet, for their paws and stuff so they don't get in getting frostbite and stuff on their paws. So, well, you had any kind of smoked meat or smoked salmon. Um, when they're caught in the villages, they have little tents that they hang them on. They'll just clean them and then hang them up over the logs so that they'll dry out. Number 15 says we basically plan all aspects of our lives, vacations, etc., around Alaska's peak fishing and hunting seasons. That's the truth. Up until this last year, I'm going to say this one is 100% correct. It's not quite 100 now, but we pretty much never take snow days, and we let our kiddos enjoy outdoor recess until it's 10 below zero. Well, in the South Central this year, we had a few snow dumps where it was quite a bit, and erring on the side of caution and safety for the kids, they canceled school so that they're not driving the school buses out on the treacherous roads, because we've had some issues with funding being taken away for snow plowing and road maintenance all around, and they're not getting to the roads like they normally do, which when a snowfall, they give us 72 hours before all the roads will be 72 hours before all the roads will be plowed, and that's not happened this year. Number 17 says we spend most of our time driving on roads that have absolutely no visible lanes whatsoever, and that kind of goes back to these snowfalls, is that they're not plowing the roads right away. People just make their own roads, and our highway in and out of Anchorage is 3 lanes to the north. To the south on the Seward Highway, it's only 2, but it's been like this all over. We were in Vegas when the first snowfall hit this year. It actually, I think it started snow on the day we left. But when you get 17 inches or so and people are just plowing through, they're making their own lanes, it's hard to see when they come plow, and then they don't plow correctly. And then when the roads get frozen, especially when it's freezing rain and there's an ice layer, you have kids that get out on the road and skate. Number 20, I skipped number 19 because it's just a picture of people walking right up to a frozen lake or something with the glacier, because it says we don't settle for status quo adventures, meaning we go to the extreme on some of them. Number 20 is we have entire freezers dedicated for game meat, and you can attest to that if you know how big a moose is, and on average, after it's been boned out, how much meat you end up getting. It will fill your freezer. And up in some of the villages, when they run out of room, they just have makeshift freezers where they've dug down holes below the permafrost, which is typically 42 to 48 inches below the surface of the ground. They've dug their holes out and they use that as the freezers. When you live outside of city limits in Alaska, your primary source of transportation is four-wheelers. And due to the shipping costs, we pay insanely high prices to live in rural Alaska, but wouldn't ever choose to live anywhere else. This shows a gallon of orange juice for $14.75. And then last but not least, it says because there's no greater place in the world than the last frontier. And I 100% agree. In my opinion, because I've lived here so long, there is nothing else domestically. And I say domestically because to me, everything else is exotic. But hunting and fishing up here is the best domestic in the world. Like I said, other than exotic. And exotic to me is going and catching marlin and going and hunting like kudu and impalas and stuff like that in the other countries. So with that being said, that's it for this little impromptu episode. I will be right back to close out the show. right, as I close out this first episode of the new year 2023, episode 35 of the Upper One podcast, I want to give a couple quick shout outs to some of our friends of the pod. First and foremost, Elvis Monroe, Ben and Brian signed a record deal with Curtain Call Records in Las Vegas. They have an album release party coming out January 27th. They're having a big concert on the 27th somewhere in Vegas. They have not announced that yet, but what has been announced is that the boys from Dadcast podcast, JP and Nick, they've announced that Ben and Brian and Elvis Monroe will be going on tour sometime in February, hopefully to a town near you. So check them out. ElvisMonroe.com. Brian Hopkins also has a Hero's Journey podcast. He's had some good guests. Nick and JP on Dadcast podcast, they've had some pretty good guests. Also, another shout out to our promoter friend from Hooked Entertainment, Coach Kevin Kern. He is the one person that we did get to meet up with in Vegas in December. Everybody else, including with ourselves, we were busy and had other plans. So, Coach, we love you. Hope to see you soon. Last but not least, the voice of my intro, my friend Dan. He messaged me today. So he's back on the radio, 105.5 The Hawk in Idaho Falls. He's back on the radio, so I listened to him this afternoon. I want to give a big shout out to him. I really hope to get to see you soon too, buddy. Again, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Upper One podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, upper_one_podcast@yahoo.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.